Renewing your mind after betrayal is not just the one-time prayer and a deep breath, okay? It's going to be intentional. It has to be consistent, and it's absolutely possible if you do these 3 little steps I've given you. Your brain's not broken. It's doing what brains do after real pain. It's normal. But it was also created by a God who does not leave us at the mercy of our own worst thoughts. He doesn't want us to stay there. He said, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. He gave us that instruction because it works, right? Because he made us this way. And because there is a bigger, better life on the other side of all of this. And I want you to hear that. One he's already seen and he's already planned out for you, that is waiting just for you to step into it. So you're not stuck. You're just in the process. And the process you're going through is holy, believe it or not. If you're tired of living in survival mode and questioning your worth and faith after divorce and want simple steps to heal, drop that shame and guilt, and rebuild your confidence, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Lori Ann, certified Christian life coach and midlife divorce mom of 2. I learned the secret of how to heal after divorce and rebuild my life through faith-based strategies that changed everything. And if you're ready to remember who you truly are, rediscover your purpose in midlife, love well again, and care for your body and soul, welcome to the club. You're in the right room. Hey girl, and welcome back to the Midlife Comeback Club podcast. I am so glad that you are here every single week. I've got brand new episodes dropping every Monday and Thursday. So definitely make sure you're subscribed so you'll get a notification every time I come out with a new episode and you won't miss a thing. All right, now I want to ask you something. Because if you've ever been through betrayal, whether it was infidelity, emotional betrayal, years of lies possibly, or just finding out that that person that you trusted most was not really who you thought they were, there's something that happens inside of you that no one really warns you about when this happens. And it's really not the heartbreak. You kind of expect the heartbreak, right? It's the thoughts. It's the way that your brain will just replay all the things all the time. You know what I'm talking about. Over and over and over again. It's the moment, you're driving to the grocery store and out of nowhere, your mind is back in that very moment that you swore you would forget, right? The moment you found out, the moment everything changed in your life. And you're right back there just because of your thoughts. Your heart's pounding, your chest is tight, and all the things, again, that you experienced in that moment are coming up for you just because of the thoughts that you're having now. It's like it just happened yesterday. And here's, I think, what makes it so exhausting. You want to move on. I know that you do, or you wouldn't be here listening to this. You want to be past this. And you've prayed about it. You've cried about it more times than you can probably count. And you've journaled about it. You might have even forgiven. Or you're working on that part. And that's okay. And yet, the thoughts are still coming. So what do you do with this mind that feels like it's working against your own healing? When you're wanting to heal, but your thoughts are making it nearly impossible. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, okay? Because renewing your mind after betrayal isn't just some nice little spiritual concept we have to do. It is biblical. And it's also completely tactical, meaning there are actual things that you can do to start to shift what's happening up there inside your brain, okay? So I cannot wait to walk you through this today. So stay with me. But before we dive in, I just want to take a quick second to mention something that is really important. Because if you're in the middle of this, if the betrayal is still so fresh, or if it's something that you've just been spiraling on for months, years, however long it's been for you, and if you've been in the loop of replaying and you're just exhausted from it, right? The Midlife Comeback Club was literally built for this moment. This is my annual group coaching mentorship where we do all of this work together. You're not alone. We do it together in a community, which is so awesome. With faith, with strategy, with real tools that you can use and tips that will walk you through this, with this amazing community of women who truly get what you've been through. And I'll share more of that at the end of today's episode to give you more details about the program. But keep it in the back of your mind as we talk, okay? All right. So here's what I hear from women all the time. They'll say, Lorianne, I know I need to forgive. I know that I need to move forward, but I can't stop thinking about it. And then they say they feel guilty that they can't stop thinking about it. And then they start to say that something is really wrong with them. And they think that something's wrong with them spiritually because a woman they think with strong faith wouldn't still be doing this. They know better. And I just have to say, no, girl, no, that's a lie. And it's a really cruel one, I think, because we beat ourselves up about this and we think we shouldn't be able to give ourselves some grace after we walk through something like betrayal in all of those ways I expressed before, because it's taking something that is actually a neurological response to trauma and turning it into some sort of like spiritual failure. But that's not the case, okay? Let's be real about what betrayal actually does to your brain. Because when you've walked through something like betrayal and you've experienced this, especially the kind that comes in a marriage where you trusted somebody with your whole heart, right? Your whole life, your whole future, your nervous system registers all of that as a huge threat, like a real actual threat. And your brain does what brains do best when they sense danger, right? It tries to protect you. So it replays the memory. It scans for those red flags. And it's going to rehearse like your worst case scenarios all the time. It's not a weakness. It's not a lack of faith. It's literally your brain just trying to keep you safe. So when you see it from that lens, I think that's so helpful. But here's the thing, and this is the part that matters. That same protective system, if you don't address it intentionally, it will keep you stuck. I've seen it happen time and time again with women that just never get out of that place. It's going to keep you living in yesterday when God is trying to move you into tomorrow. And that is exactly the reason why renewing your mind matters so much. Not just for your peace of mind, although I will say, girl, yes, that too. But because the life, that God has planned for you is on the other side of what's happening in your head right now. And I remember very clearly about like a year after everything fell apart for me, I thought that I was doing a lot better. Like genuinely, I thought I was doing better. I had cried a lot. I had prayed a lot. I had done all the work, right? And I was trying to move forward. And then one random Tuesday, I was just folding laundry, just doing my thing, right? Like I would every day. And a song came on the radio. It was just a song. And something about it just triggered this memory for me. And I sat down on the floor of my bedroom and I was surrounded by all this unfolded laundry piling up around me. And I just started crying, like ugly crying out of nowhere. And I remember thinking, why is this still happening? I thought I was past all of this. So what's wrong with me, right? That I'm still doing this. And I felt this huge wave of shame on top of the grief I had experienced because I was supposed to be this woman of faith. I was supposed to be trusting God with everything. I was supposed to be, quote unquote, moving on. But here's what I really didn't understand yet in that season. Forgiveness and healing are not on the same timeline. Even though we might want them to be, we might try really hard to make them on the same timeline, but they're not. Because you can choose forgiveness and it's a choice, not a feeling. And Jesus asks us to do that, right? And it might take us even a little while to get to even that forgiveness part. But we can do that. We can forgive, which I had. And still have a brain that needs to be completely retrained. So choosing to forgive doesn't automatically delete like the neural pathways that were carved by the pain. That's going to take intentional and consistent work. And nobody told me that. And when I finally understood that truth, that renewing my mind was something I had to actively do, not just pray about and wait for, and I had to do it like on a daily basis, that's when things really started to actually shift for me. So here's the thing. This is not like some new concept or something. God was ahead of this whole conversation by about like 2,000 years, okay? Like he got this. Romans 12:2 says, and I love this verse, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformed, right? By the renewing of your mind. Not by positive thinking, not by pretending it didn't happen, and not by like just pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and saying, come on, girl, get over this already. No, it was by renewing, which actually implies, and this part's really important, that renewal is a process. It's ongoing. It's repeated. You don't renew something once and just call it done, right? And then there's Philippians 4:8, where it says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Think about such things as that. God is not telling us to ignore our pain. He's not saying just pretend it didn't all happen. He's saying you have to direct your mind on purpose with intention. And that's just not some sort of spiritual concept. It's really a tactical instruction that he gives us. And that is exactly what we're going to walk through today, okay? So I'm going to give you 3 steps for renewing your mind after betrayal, if this is you, okay? These are both biblical and practical because faith without action, as we know, is just wishful thinking. We don't want to do that. And you deserve more than wishful thinking, okay? You deserve real tools to help you. Step number 1, we have to catch the thought before it catches you. This is important. Here's what happens, okay? A thought will come in, and instead of noticing it, we just merge with it. We just kind of mold ourselves to the thought, and we get swept up in all of that. And by the time we realize what's happened, we've been mentally living in the worst moment of our divorce for the last 45 minutes. So the first skill, and I mean skill, because it does take practice, this is probably not going to come super naturally to you if you've been living in this season right now. It didn't for me, I know. It's learning to catch that thought as it arrives. So in psychology, they call this cognitive diffusion, which is like a fancy way of saying create a little space between you and the thought. So the thought comes, I can't believe he did this to me. And instead of diving into that thought head first, you pause. You notice it. You say, even out loud, I'm having the thought that I can't believe he did this to me. You're aware that, okay, I'm having this thought, right? And that little tiny shift of language creates distance between you and the thought. And it will remind your brain that you are not the thought. Thought is just something that's passing through. And if we visually think about it like that, it's really, really impactful. And from a faith standpoint, this is literally taking every thought captive. As it says in 2 Corinthians 10:5, every thought captive. Not every thought acted on, not every thought believed, every thought caught and brought under the authority of Christ. So I want you to start small, okay? Pick one just recurring thought that you have that keeps hijacking you every day. You probably know exactly the one I'm talking about. You know which one you're constantly ruminating on. And every time it shows up this week, I want you to practice just noticing that you're having the thought, okay? And say, there's that thought again. That's it. And that's step 1. All right, moving on to step 2. Replace Don't just resist. Okay? This is where so many women I coach get stuck. They work really hard to stop thinking the bad thoughts because they know they shouldn't be. So they just try to push them away. And then they try to suppress everything. They try to suppress all these thoughts they're having and just tuck it down inside somewhere. And they'll quote a scripture over it and feel frustrated, when the thought comes back 10 minutes later. But your brain can't run on empty. You can't just remove a thought without replacing it with something else. That's not how your mind works. That's actually not how scripture works either. That's why Philippians 4:8 doesn't just say stop thinking bad things. It gives you the roadmap. It gives you a whole list of things to think about instead. So what does replacement actually look like in real life? It means when the thought comes in, I will never trust anyone again, you don't just try to fight it. You're going to replace it with a truth instead. And maybe that truth for you is, I don't know, God is restoring my ability to trust. He is not finished with my story. Or maybe it's some specific verse that you love that you've written on a sticky note on your bathroom mirror, like I've told you to do before. Or maybe it's some line from a prayer that you've already prayed. But it has to be specific. That's the key, okay? Vague, positive thinking will not hold up under the weight of real pain. And that's really important. So specific truth, right? Scripture, it's got to be a promise you've claimed, a word God has given you that he's speaking to you that you're ignoring. That's a good one. That's what has the staying power that you need right now. So pick one thought you want to stop thinking and write out the replacement truth right now. Not some generic one, a specific one that speaks directly to that lie. Then put it somewhere you'll see it. I go over this in depth in our community, the Midlife Comeback Club, but I've seen this change women's lives so quickly, and they start learning how to renew their mind so well by doing this practice, okay? So step number 3, build a daily renewal rhythm, not a one-time fix. And this is the one that's going to change just everything long-term. Because let's be honest, we don't expect our bodies to stay healthy, right, from one really good workout that we had 6 months ago. That's crazy. We don't expect our marriages or our relationship with God to thrive on one conversation we had with them, a year ago. It doesn't work like that. But yet, somehow, we expect our minds to be renewed from one prayer we pray, one good Sunday sermon that we hear, one journaling session that we did for the month. But that's not how renewal works. Renewal has to be a daily practice. Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing. Present tense verb, right? Ongoing. It's a rhythm that you have to do every single day. So what does a daily rhythm look like? It looks different, for everybody, and that's okay. But here are a few anchors that I've found make a real difference. The morning really matters. This is another thing we go in depth with in the Midlife Comeback Club, because it's the morning just sets your tone for the day. And I will admit, I was never a morning person. I was always a night person. Even when my kids were little, I was like, man, I cannot go to sleep at night. Even when they went to bed at 8 or 9, I would still stay up until midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. It was just the way I was wired. And it was really hard for me to grasp this concept of my mornings. All I wanted to do was sleep in and just get up right before I had to get out to work or get the kids up or whatever it was. I would just wait till the very last minute. But my life changed when I started discovering that mornings matter. And as difficult as it was for me to get up earlier to take care of my mind and myself for about an hour, or it started off with maybe 15, 20 minutes, but now I've worked it into an hour, that it makes all the difference for the whole day. If I do not do my morning routine, my day is completely thrown off because I haven't set my mind right for the day. And how you start your morning sets the tone for how your brain is going to actually move throughout the day. And once I learned this, it was a game changer. So before you check your phone, before 5 minutes with God, I want 5 minutes of intentional thought direction, okay? It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be a prayer, a verse, a simple declaration, something like that. But you got to do it because, just having those few moments, I'm telling you, it will make the difference. And movement is part of this too. Another thing I was not crazy about. I think I spent a decade where I did not even, I barely had time to go take like a 30-minute walk, or I thought I didn't have time to take a 30-minute walk. This is another thing. The movement I find now, it's like imperative that I have that every single morning. I do now try to get to the gym at least 5 days out of the week. I put it on my calendar. I put it in my schedule. And I'm just at a place now where my kids are a little bit older, so I'm able to do that. Back when they were little, I couldn't do that because I was the only one taking care of them a lot of the time. And it wasn't like I could pick up and leave. And I would try to incorporate my workouts at home, but I really got not intentional about doing it. And a lot of my physical fitness and my ability to worry about my health, I just put it to the wayside, and it affected everything else. And I didn't realize it at the time because my stress level was a lot higher. My body was not doing what it should have been. And now that I'm in midlife, I find, wow, it is super important, like for my brain to be sharp, for my physical health, all the things I want to have longevity, for my kids. I want to do all of these things now in midlife, that I'm thinking about my future, and I'm thinking about the temple that God has given me. And it's my job to take care of it. I look at health so differently now. But the movement, that was what I was getting back to, is part of this too. So I know it sounds super practical, but there's so much research on how the physical movement helps your brain process these stuck emotions. And that was the big thing I was finding. Like if I go to the gym, or I went out and I took the walk for 20 or 30 minutes, it was like my emotions, it helps them become unstuck. It really works. And I would feel like I'm so much calmer, and like my stress level will go down. And that is so important as women that we do that. And it's almost like you're kind of jarring all these bad thoughts you're having in your head, and you're kind of cleansing yourself. I almost feel like that because I can tell, even on the days when I choose not to go work out, I'm different, because I feel like, maybe I can't fit those other 2 days in my schedule. And I'm almost getting to the point now where I'm like, I want to make it a practice almost every day to do it, because it does change my mind for the better. So even if you can only just do a few minutes or something, just to get your body, just to stretch, to get up, to move your arms, to get a couple of light weights, or do something and just move your body a little bit, you'll find that it helps clear your mind. So do that, okay? In community, I have to say this because it's so real. All right, isolation is going to feed these loops. When we are connected, we are in community with women who really understand, and it interrupts the pattern, because you can't renew your mind in a vacuum. And again, this was a big one for me. I'm naturally more of an introvert, believe it or not. And I can be extroverted in certain instances, but my go-to is usually I'm more of an introvert. So especially when my kids were little, I spent a lot of time alone, isolated, did not have as close of a friend group as I do now, because I wasn't actively trying to get out into community. It was difficult for me to do that, just from a logistical standpoint, but also because it's not natural to me to really reach out. So even like doing this podcast is like a big deal, because I'm not used to doing that. But the reason I'm doing it is because I found that community is so important over the last few years. When I started joining communities of other women, it made all the difference. And I saw my life go into this amazing trajectory of goodness, because it was all of these women lifting me up in these other communities I was in, other programs. And it's so meaningful. And that's a huge part of the reason I wanted to start the Midlife Comeback Club, because I've seen it happen now in our own community. And it just makes all the difference when you have other people around you, because you can't learn to renew your mind if you're just isolated all the time. It helps you work through your feelings. It helps you replace those thoughts with good stuff from the Lord. And it helps you just in so many amazing ways that you don't even intend for it to change, but it will. So I want you to look at your week right now, okay? Where can you carve out like 5 intentional minutes in the morning? Let's just start there. If you can do more, great. If you can't, it's okay. But before the scroll, before you pick up your phone, before you get into the rush of the day and decide what truth you're going to anchor your day to. That's your starting point, okay? So here's what I want you to walk away with today. Renewing your mind after betrayal is not just the one-time prayer and a deep breath, okay? It's going to be intentional. It has to be consistent, and it's absolutely possible if you do these 3 little steps I've given you. Your brain's not broken. It's doing what brains do after real pain. It's normal. But it was also created by a God who does not leave us at the mercy of our own worst thoughts. He doesn't want us to stay there. He said, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. He gave us that instruction because it works, right? Because he made us this way. And because there is a bigger, better life on the other side of all of this. And I want you to hear that. One he's already seen and he's already planned out for you, that is waiting just for you to step into it. So you're not stuck. You're just in the process. And the process you're going through is holy, believe it or not. So if this episode stirred something inside of you, and I really, really, truly hope it did, I want to tell you about the Midlife Comeback Club, okay? Because that's my annual group coaching mentorship that I mentioned before. It's for midlife divorced Christian women who are done surviving and ready to actually start rebuilding their lives. So inside the Midlife Comeback Club, you get my 90-day transformational program that is included inside this annual mentorship. This is my step-by-step faith-based framework that I built from my own healing journey. And it walks you through exactly how to do what we talked about today. It's renewing your mind, it's rebuilding your identity, it's reclaiming your confidence, but in a structured, guided way so you're not just trying to figure it out alone. We have live weekly faith-based group coaching calls with me every single week, your certified Christian life coach here, and you bring whatever is happening in your life. The spiral you got stuck in, whether it's a hard conversation you need to have, the decision, that's a good one that you've been sitting on forever, and I'll walk you through it. This is the real work, and it's done in real time. And then there's this amazing community, and I always save this for last because it really is the best part of the Midlife Comeback Club because these women get it. They are in the exact same season as you, and there's nothing quite like being in a room, even a virtual one, with other women who don't need you to explain the complicated, messy, exhausting grief of divorce because they are actually living it out too. And it changes everything. So if you're ready and if you're tired of all the mental loops and you want real support, real strategy, and a real faith-based community, I want you to definitely click on the link below in the show notes where you can learn more about the Midlife Comeback Club and reach out to me if you have any questions, okay? Give yourself some permission to start renewing your mind for real, fully, faithfully, and with that support. Because you don't have to do all of this alone and you were never meant to. I also have my free divorce recovery quiz. So definitely check that out. You can figure out which stage of divorce recovery you're in. It's LoriAnnFeely.com, LORIANNF as in Frank, EELEY.com/divorce-recovery-quiz. So definitely check that out as well. And come join our free Facebook group. We just started this a couple of weeks ago, which is amazing. So we're starting to bring women into the group, and I would love for you to be a part of that. It's called Healing After Divorce for Midlife Christian Women over on Facebook. But you can just click the link below in the show notes too and come join us. It's a beautiful, safe space, and I would love to see you there. So I just want to thank you so much for being with me today. Truly, if this episode helped you, even just a little bit, will you please share it with a girlfriend who needs it? Text it to her. Post it in your stories just to get it to someone who's been spinning in these loops too and might need to hear this. You could be exactly the thing that she needed today. And let me leave you with this. Your mind is not your enemy. It is just waiting to be led. Lead it to truth. And watch what God will do with the rest. So if I don't see you before over in the Midlife Comeback Club, I will definitely catch you back here for the next episode. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk soon. Hey girl, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a woman who might really need it right now? Also, please leave me a quick review over on Apple Podcasts. It truly helps this show reach more women who are ready for their divine comeback. And until next time, keep choosing faith over fear, and I will meet you back here next week for another episode.